Hello everyone. Good morning. This is a recording for chapter 2 of IS247. Today we are going to learn about HTML. Of course, while browsing the slides, I will be going over some practical examples. So next here I have Visual Studio Code. If you don't have it, you can download it from the internet by Googling Visual Studio Code, and from here heading to download. You can download it for your own platform. I recommend this IDE if you are just trying to learn HTML or starting your development journey in general. This is a very lightweight and practical IDE to start with. Okay, so for now I'm going to be using one new extension here called Live Server. So Live Server will allow me to um, basically host my own server locally in order to view my HTML files. So the first thing is just head to extensions here, and from extensions search for Live Server. After you search for it, you will find it here and you can download it. After you download it and install it, it will be available, and basically on this side you'll have a button here called go live. So before I start, I'm just going to head to my Explorer window here and going to click on open folder. And in this case, you can start off with an empty folder. It's fine. So I'll go to desktop, create a new folder. I'll call it my project and click on open. Let's see, give it a minute. Okay, so now that my ID is configured correctly, I'm going to create a new HTML file. I'll call it index.html. Again, if you want to rename the file, just right click on it and click on rename. So index.html. This is my starting file. And then if you press on the exclamation mark, which is Shift 1, you'll have this emit abbreviation. Basically, it's a shortcut. So if you hit enter on it, it will create a template or a starting template for your HTML page. And then you can just use Command S or Control S for Windows to save your changes. Afterwards, the last step is to press on Go Live. After pressing on Go Live, it should redirect you to an empty page. And now we can actually start our chapter, because most of our lessons are going to be actually based in practice. So the more you write code, the better you'll get at it. Okay. So let's start by defining HTML. Hypertext markup language is basically the language of the web pages. Okay. So this is HTML. What we're seeing here is an HTML file, and this is what eventually is sent to the clients and by the server. It's processed by the server and sent to the clients. We have also XHTML, which is used for transferring data. And we have HTML5, which is the latest iteration of HTML. This is basically what we are using here, okay, by indicating the doc type. So if you're using this tag, this HTML tag, you are telling the browser, in this case, Google Chrome, that this file is actually an HTML5 file, okay? So it will deal with it in a different way. Okay, So as we mentioned, because it is a markup language, it uses something called tags. Okay. So everything here is considered a tag. Head is a tag, body is a tag, HTML, of course, you can see that if I highlight this area here, if I click on body once, see it is highlighting both the opening and closing tags on line 8 and line 10. If I click on HTML also, you'll see HTML is being highlighted on line 2 and line 11. Okay, so if I close HTML, I click on it, it will basically collapse everything inside it, indicating that this is a hierarchical structure. So a hierarchical structure, that means these tags are appended within the main tag. So this is the parent tag, HTML. And to make it clear, if I go here, highlight this section, press tab, this means that the head tag is within the HTML tag, okay? And the body tag is also within the HTML tag. And what's within the head tag? We have meta tag and title tag, and so on and so forth, okay? Um, it was, of course, HTML was developed by Tim Berners-Lee, standardized by Worldwide Web Consortium, works across different browsers, as you can see. We can use Google Chrome, we can use Edge, we can use Safari. We have so many options to render web pages, okay? And we already explained the structure. It is composed of doctype declaration, that it is, again, of HTML5. It is an HTML5 document, okay? HTML elements, these are all HTML elements, okay? Regardless if it's called body or head, you can call them elements or tags. They are both synonyms. Head section, of course, contains metadata. So, for example, here I have what document. If I change this to, let's say, chapter 2, and I save it, if you're using the same extension as me, you don't have to refresh anything. If you go here to the page itself, you will see that the title already reflected chapter 2. And again, pay no attention to the URL and this stuff. For now, we will not worry about them, okay? So structural tags are tags basically that deals with the overall structure of the page, okay? And we have 4 of them. And if you are going to start any template, it is preferable to have all 4 defined. What are the 4 tags? The head, the title, the body, and the HTML, okay? HTML, head, title, and body. You can see them here, okay? In addition, you have other tags like text formatting, okay? Text formatting, of course, is a way to display text in different styles on the page. So if I use H1, for example, you can see if I highlight on it, it says that represent section heading. H1 represents section heading. So I can say heading 1. I'll save it. If I go here, I can see what heading 1 being displayed. Okay. So, and we have 6 of these headings. So if I go here, let me copy it 6 times. Okay. I'll call this heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. 5, 4, 3, 2. So if I say, we can see the headings are being displayed in different sizes. And this is basically how you can think of it as a Word document. So Word documents are basically treated the same way, right? You have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 for each section in your document, and they are all nested within each other. In addition, we have paragraphs and line breaks. So paragraphs and line breaks, and please pay attention that I created all my headings within the body tag, and this is, of course, mandatory. So if I create my heading here in the head tag, will, again, it will be rendered, but it is not according to best practice. So best practice says that the heading tag should contain only meta elements, metadata, you can see, that are related to the current document. While heading is not considered metadata, it is actually what it is something related to the content of the page. So if it's related to the content, something that needs to be visible on the page, it is better to include it within the body tag. While, for example, this title, it's not actually being rendered. The viewport, the character encoding, UTF-8, all of these details are not actually being rendered within the page. The title is being rendered on the tab, and the character encoding is something that we deal with when we render the uh, basically the text on the page. So this is it for paragraph and just my comments regarding the body tag. In addition, we have something called P, which is the paragraph itself, and BR. Okay. So P, for example, if I want to display a paragraph, this is a test. Okay. Um, and this is a new line. Okay. Let's see what will be rendered on the page. Paragraph again, from the name, P indicates that this is a paragraph. So you can notice here that when I added this paragraph, and this is a new line, it's actually rendered both on the same line. Okay. It didn't actually create another line, even though you can see here in the IDE, I have a new line, and this is intentional. HTML actually ignores white spaces, and you can see already that I have indentation here also, but it is being ignored by the browser because the browser doesn't see these empty lines. So how can I tell the browser to create a new line in this case? You have to use something called line break character or line break tag. So if I include line break tag here and I save it, you can see that this paragraph is being rendered, then on a new line, and this is a new line. Okay, so this is regarding line break. Also, we have elements that help us group elements together. So we have div, okay, division, and we have spans. Okay. So what's the difference between divisions and spans? Divisions are used to uh, basically group elements in a structural way. So if I create a div element or a div tag, and I say test, let's include test within it. If I go back here, you can see that div is being rendered, okay, but like if I include another div within it, and I call test2, there's no indication whether div is a paragraph or div is considered a heading, or basically it's just a plain tag. So how can I use div? Div is a way for us, the developers, to create additional structure or basically divisions in the page based on our use case. And this, of course, is done using styles, okay, or using classes. Later on, we will see how to do that. Just pay attention for now that div is something related to the structure of the page. It's a tag used for creating structure. Okay? Other than that, we have spans. Spans are used for text. So in div, usually you can include other stuff within it, but spans, you can only include text within a span. So I can say, for example, span here, test 44. I'll save it. Go here. You can see test 44 is still treated as text. So when should I use span? When you want to apply certain styling on text that is already included as part of paragraph or as part of other headings, for example. Okay, so spans work with text, while divs, we can say that they are used for structure. Okay, last but not least, we have the lists and the quotations. Quotations, I don't care that much about, really, but lists are important. There are some questions regarding lists in the exam, so let me explain lists. Um, Actually, it's getting messy here. Let's clean up everything. Call this list, and then I will create my first list. So my first list, I'll I'll open an order list tag, okay? And within this order list tag, I'll create another tag called li, list item, okay? I'll call it item 1. I will save everything, and let's go and see what will happen. We can see that I have my heading, lists, and within it I have something called item 1, okay? And you can repeat the process to create item 2 and item 3. And what is special about these items is that they are numbered, okay? And this numbering, I didn't create it. It is done automatically for me. In addition, let's create another heading, actually. And I will call it what? Unordered lists. And this, let's call it ordered lists, okay? So unordered lists are just that. Instead of opening an ordered list tag, I will open a UL tag, and within it, I'll copy the same items. Once I save, if I go back, you will see that these items are different from these items in that there is no numbering for them. These are just bullet points, you know, while these items are numbered. Okay, so this is it regarding the, let's say, the widely used HTML tags. We have also some special characters. For example, if we want to emphasize some text, we can use strong or EM. So if we go to item 1, I'll just create another tag called strong and paste item 1 within it. If I go back here, you'll see that it is a little bit bold. I believe emphasize also, EM acts the same way, if I'm not mistaken. EM actually makes it italic, okay? And last but not least, we have mark and code. Mark basically will mark the item. It will be highlighted, okay? While code, let's say, enter this, and then here I'll open tag called code. This will make the text in a format that is similar to the format we see here. Code, basically an IDE or a code editor. Okay. So again, the best way to experiment with these tags and see their effect is to actually write them down. This way it will be easier for you to memorize and understand. Okay. We have other special characters, and these special characters are used in this format. Okay. And you have to type them this way because they are already being utilized by the browser itself. The browser itself has a special meaning for this character and this character. So you cannot use them directly inside the text. It is recommended that you use them using this format. So, for example, this less than and this greater than for and, ampersand, and for copyright, for example, copy. Sometimes you can use non-breaking space also. So let's test them again. This is less than and greater than, right? And you can see we have so many of these special characters. And let's actually create a paragraph for these two. Let's see when I save what will happen. You can see them printed here. Okay. Other than that, we have also non-breaking space. And non-breaking space is just that. So if I type test, for example, and I use and NBSP, non-breaking space between T and E, you'll see test with a space in between. And so, it's not always necessary to use this special character. Sometimes it is required, sometimes it's not. Okay. So it depends on the browser. I think most browsers actually these days render empty space, but sometimes again you have to force the space using this special character. We have also AMP and copyright. So let me copy this actually. Copyright, I think it's clear. We'll add just this symbol, the copyright symbol. And the other one, which is AMP, will create an AMP character. This AMP, okay? So I think it's clear what these special characters are used for. Other than that, we have some new elements that are basically only usable within HTML5 page. So again, if I remove the doc type, this will tell the browser that this is just an HTML4 page. But if I keep doc type HTML, this will indicate that this is an HTML5 page. Okay, so it's better to use the doc type whenever possible. So these tags again are structural elements. So we have header, nav, main, and footer, and these are, if I create them, you will not see an effect on the page. So header, nav, footer. I'll type header here. Navigation. Nav stands for navigation. Footer and main. So why did we create these tags? Why these tags were introduced in HTML5? Because we noticed that most web pages actually require these tags. So in this case, why not just use the div? So I can use div to basically identify these tags. Div by itself does not have meaning. That means the browser cannot tell this div is supposed to represent what exactly. We, the developers, define a purpose for it, okay, using classes, using styles. But if I use footer, for example, I can give the browser an indication that whatever is within this tag is supposed to be footer section. And I can tell the browser that my main content is usually included within the main tag. And navigation related links are within nav. And header tag contains header, for example, content, and so on and so forth. And you can highlight each one of these tags so you can understand the meaning of it, okay? So this is, again, a way to create structure that the browser can recognize and utilize later on for search engine optimization, for advanced rendering, okay? There are so many use cases. And of course, it is highly recommended that whenever you are creating a web page, to stick to these tags. To if you're planning to create something that is accessible and readable by other visitors, it is better to create these structural tags in your page. Okay. Hyperlinks, on the other hand, are one of the most crucial elements that you will be using throughout this course. Of course, hyperlinks will allow you to create links between pages. So for example, we have multiple types like absolute link. Let's copy it and let's clean this page up again. I'll create a header one. And from here, I will make this link go to google.com. So what does this mean? A means anchor tag, href, hyperlink reference. Within it, you can see the URL, Unified Resource Locator of Google, and here the text that should be rendered for this link. So let's save it and actually break it down here. So Google, you can see the text Google is whatever is within the element itself. Okay, so where's the link here? The link is actually, only accessible if you click on the text itself. And I think by now we are all familiar with this underlined text. If you see underlined blue text, usually that means it is a hyperlink. So if I click on it, you can see that it's already taking me to google.com. Okay, so this is how it works. Let's change it up a bit. So I'll say Google. Instead of Google, let's say Bing. And I'll change Google to Bing. If I click on it, it will take me to Bing. Okay, and so on and so forth. And this is, we call it absolute. Why do we call it absolute? Because it is actually including the protocol and the full domain of the page. So it is not relevant to this page itself or to my project. It is absolute to bing.com. So whenever I click on it, it will always take me to bing.com. While, for example, if I use something called relative links are links that are being utilized within my project. So my project, if I create a new page here, new file, I'll call it about.html. So in about.html, let's create an empty structure, about, and I'll just include one header here. I'll call it about and save it. So index.html, I can go here, and then you can see that if I press on slash, and this is what they call forward slash, I can just directly link to about.html. So about.html here, if I go back, I refresh, let's actually create, let's add a line break here. So if I click on about, you'll notice something interesting, that I didn't actually navigate to a new domain. I just flipped to another page within my current domain, which is, by the way, this is the loopback address, and this is the port. Again, you don't have to worry about these details for now. So this is how the about link works. And again, this is what relative link, while this is absolute. Okay. So what about the email links? Email links basically are used to send an email. So let's go to about here. In about page, let me add a new link. So href mail to, and I'll put my email. And so it is actually another anchor link, but this anchor link is a little bit different. So it's not a page actually within my website, and it's not an absolute link. It is a way for me to send an email to a specific email. So mail to is just like a shortcut that will tell the browser, if this link is clicked, try to send an email to this user. So in about, if I click on, of course, I don't have an email client actually. So on my machine does not recognize actually the built-in email. But usually if you're on Windows, if you click on this email, most likely, I don't have it configured even. Or it is actually configured, but for some reason it's not working. Okay, let's try again. Okay, maybe it is related to Mac blocking this feature, or honestly, I'm not sure. But usually, if you click on this on Windows, it will open the default mail app, okay? But I think on Mac, there's something preventing it from running. Maybe it's a privacy feature. Okay, all in all, these are the links that we will be using, most likely. And just let me go back 1 second. Okay. So again, we have absolute link, we have relative link, and we have email link. Let me bring it here back so you can see them all in one place. And this is the email link. Okay. Okay, so we already went through this, creating an HTML file page. We already created the headings. Okay. As we mentioned, try to place all your content within the body. Okay. Don't place them outside of the body. We already created this. We went through these kind of headings, accessibility, of course. Most likely, if you're using page title, it's better to stick to H1. For main sections, H2, H3. Paragraph, we already mentioned what paragraph does. Now, if you noticed so far, everything that we've written on our page is by default aligned to the left side. So, nothing went to right, nothing was centered. Okay, and this is how it should behave. So by default, everything is left aligned. Left aligned مرة ثانية means that it is placed on the left side. Okay, so how can I change this? You can control it using CSS. So for now, this is of course not within the scope of this chapter or this lecture, but to control the alignment, you can place something called style tag, or style attribute, sorry, of the A tag, the anchor tag. And in here, you can say text. And you can see I'm getting what? IntelliSense. This IntelliSense is autocomplete from the ID itself. So we have text align, okay, text dash align. And here I can mention what? Center, for example. Once I save this, if I go, and of course I need to give it actually width. So let's create another div, and here place text align center. Okay, so the div itself, if I don't want to inspect this page, but basically if I inspect here, you will see that my div is basically taking the entire width of the page. Again, this is outside of the scope of this lecture, but just so you understand why my text was aligned when I placed the style for div, not when I placed the style for the anchor element, because the div by default takes the full width of the page. So imagine that you can see it highlighted here, right? So by default, it will expand to the full width of the page. And then once you place any text within it and assign it text align center, the text within it will be automatically centered. So what if I do this? Instead of center, right? So now you can see it. So you can see it right aligned now. And you can, if you want to experiment with this also, create multiple divs. I'll make this aligned left and this aligned center. Actually, I'll remove the alignment from this one so we can tell what is the default alignment. So, and let's call this left, and this is center, and this is right. So left, center, right. Left, I didn't add any special styling for it. Center, I added center styling, while right, I added right styling. Okay. Okay, so this is regarding the default text alignment. Okay. And we already spoke about BR, line breaks, and paragraphs. Quotes, not that important for me. Okay. The strong utilized elements and marked elements, we already spoke about them also. Ordered list, unordered lists as well. And special characters, again, special characters, I think non-breaking space and non-breaking space copyright. These two are for me the most important two, while the rest are not that important actually. Less than, greater than, they are being rendered automatically in the browsers. Yani they are no longer an issue these days actually. Okay. Another example they're talking about here, non-breaking space, that it inserts space. It is recommended for layout adjustment. Oh, okay. So whenever you want to actually insert space within text, you can use this as a hack. It's not recommended to always rely on non-breaking space. It is better to utilize an actual CSS, and we will talk about this in next chapters. We already spoke about the structural elements and about the div element. Again, it is just a generic structure. And that's why we said it's better, whenever possible, is to utilize what head or sorry, header. Okay, header, nav, main, and footer. Okay, it's better always to utilize these instead of just saying div, 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 because this is for the browser kind of meaningless, you know, while these are, the tag itself has a meaning, so the browser can know how to deal with it. Okay, and again, div usually is used to group elements together. Okay, and to create advanced structures. Okay. We already went through the hand-on practice, anchor elements, we spoke about them. Sitemap. Sitemap, again, not that important for now, okay? But basically, it's a way to describe what is included within your website. And this is used by the web crawlers to index your web pages, okay? We already created multi-page website with index and about. Email hyperlinks, we already utilize email hyperlinks, and that's it, actually. At the end of the chapter, you will see again slides, question slides, and the answers. The key answers are at the bottom of the page. You will find true and false, multiple choice. You can go through the questions, and if you have any comment or inquiry regarding these questions, please let me know. That's it for chapter 2, and see you in chapter 3. Thank you.